In today's part of our video tutorial how to fix pressure washer Electra Becum HD 100HW, I'll show you how to replace the water seals, O-rings inside the water pump. I put on the top of the power washer the blue styling cover only for explanation that what are we going to do today. So I'll take it off now quickly because it's not connected. It's just to show you where the pump are, or I'll put it aside. And what are we going to do? We are going to replace the water seals inside this massive, nearly €400 worth water pump. If you would like to get a new part as a water pump, brand new. As you can see, it's already disconnected, so I'll just take it off and show you both sides. And soon I'll describe whole pump in more detail, and you will have a chance how to replace those O-rings. Over here on the table we have massive water pump cylinder head from Electra Becum HD 100HW. It's over 25 years old, and because it was leaking and had low pressure, we have to replace the water seals, 6 of them. Let me show you this water pump. As you can see, it's got 6 valves, massive brass screws. Over here you are connecting the pipe for the detergent. Over here is the connection for the extension of the high pressure hose that leads water from the pump into the double coil where the water is heated. I'll show you how the pump looks. Over here you can see the gauge where you can see the operating pressure. This is the pressure regulator. Over here is being connected, or we are connecting the water supply. You can install here a filter, and I'll show you the other side of the pump where you can see 3 brass packings. Inside every of these hole you've got 2 O-rings, water seals. Normally in the services they are taking out these brass packings because they've got special tool, metal tool extractor, how to take them out in such a manner that they are not damaged. We unfortunately don't have such a extractor, and it costs over €150, so it doesn't make any sense to buy it. So we had to find a way how to replace those O-rings in other way. Those hot pressure washers like Electra Becum HD 100HW, even they are not produced anymore and nobody is servicing them anywhere in Europe. They are great, small, light, only 52 kgs power washers, and many of them unfortunately ended up in scrapyard because nobody was able to fix them, or to get a spare part list, or to get somebody who would be able to fix it. I found out that they've got nearly exactly the same spare parts list as the power washer that is still produced up to these days from the company REM Power Electromachine, and the brand name of the power washer is HDEM 100HW. Those 2 pressure washers or power washer have more or less the same spare part list. Even the Electra Becum does not exist anymore, you can still fix it by yourself if you know how to do it. I presume they used not only the same water seals but the same oil seals as well. I presume that Electrolux, Portotecnica and Eagle Mitho that produce nearly the same hot pressure washers used maybe the same O-rings or oil seals in power washers with the same operating pressure up to 100 bars. Water seal size or O-ring size is 15.08 by 2.62 NBR 70 Shore. 70 stands for hardness, how hard they are. And oil seals groove drinks size is 15 by 24 by 5 GP WAS NBR. What tools we will need for taking out the old water seals, because we will be replacing only water seals, not oil seals. We will need silicone grease, liquimoly. We will need, if somebody has them, nylon picks for taking out the O-rings or something like that. Maybe tweezers, metal tweezers. Maybe a thin flat screwdrivers to take out the old ones, old O-rings, old water seals, O-rings. And what we'll need else is M8 screw. 8 means that it's 8 millimeters thick and it's 4 centimeters long. And we need the other part for the screw like this with the threads. And you have to cut from something like this 18 millimeters long part. As you can see, I put already some blue sellotape on it, and soon I'll show you why you need it. Because it's easy to replace the first O-ring in the hole, which is inside the groove of the top of the brass packing, but it's way more complicated to replace the second water seal, which is underneath. You've got first brass packing with the groove inside where you put the first water seal. Then you've got roughly 3 millimeters thick black plastic washer. Then goes another O-ring water seal, and then underneath there is one more, maybe 1 or 2 millimeters thick plastic washer. So hopefully it will help you a little bit to solve the problem, and you will be able to replace them on your own. Show you please where the O-rings are in this water pump or cylinder head from the 30 years old Electra Becum HD100 HW. The similar or nearly the same pumps are on the REM Power Electromachine HD100 HW or Electrolux or Portotecnica or Eagle or Taskmaster. Maybe they've got, some of them, they've got different O-rings, I'm not sure. I found out that even this washer is not produced anymore and Electra Becum doesn't exist anymore, and you can't get a spare part list or somebody who would be able to fix this power washer. I found out that this Electromachine or REM Power HD100 HW, which is produced up to these days, they use exactly the same water pump, high quality. You can see the big massive water pump or cylinder head, and they use the same O-rings. The size of the O-rings is 15.08 by 2.62 NBR. NBR stands for nitrile, 70 stands for hardness, and SH stands for shore. Operating pressure of this power washer is 90 bars, so it means that it's enough to use these O-rings. They are pretty cheap, they are less than €1 each. Now I'll show you the detail how it looks inside, where the pistons are moving and where you need to replace those O-rings if the power washer is leaking or there is a low pressure. Hopefully you will be able to see something. In each of these holes you have to replace 2 of the O-rings. Usually in professional services they got special tool called extractor, so for them it's pretty easy. But after so many years they weren't out, these brass packings and all these O-rings. It's close to impossible to get it out without damaging it. I have seen how some people are trying to get these brass packings with the screwdriver and trying to pull it out, but you can only damage them. It's better to leave them, and the positive thing is that you can replace these O-rings without the need to take them out. I'll show you how they are positioned in these holes or in these packings, brass packings, and underneath them. As you can see, on the top there is a brass packing. I'm talking about this. And inside the groove of this brass packing there is this first O-ring over here. It's pretty easy to replace the first one, this one, and to take it out. Later on I'll show you how to take it out. Then underneath the brass packing there is a roughly 3 millimeters thick plastic washer, black plastic washer. Then underneath this plastic washer there is another O-ring of the same size as I have mentioned, and you have to fit this O-ring over there. And underneath is the last plastic washer, black one as well, thinner, but you can't see it now unfortunately. But the reason why I'm explaining it, just to give you a picture how they are organized there, and to explain you that it is possible to replace them without the need to take out these brass packings. And the same, I'll show you only one example, so I'll be replacing only 2 of them, but the same process applies to second one and the third one. Hopefully you'll understand what I am talking about and what I am doing, and you will be able to fix this water pump, because for power washer like this one nobody wants to service it because they don't find spare parts, or they just simply don't know how to do it, or it will be too expensive. That's why many of these great power washers that can last forever end up in the scrap yards, or they are sold, they are taken apart and sold for the parts. We can start to replace O-rings inside the water pump. As an example, I will replace only 2 of them in this first hole, and the rest I'll not record. As I have mentioned before, we will need tools like this. As I have said before, you have to cut 18 millimeters long piece of this, and whenever you have done it, for example, I put on the top of it a bit of a sellotape, the blue sellotape, because with the angle grinder, whenever I cut it, I improved these edges a little bit. So here you have it, 18 millimeters long, roughly 14.5 millimeters in diameter. And the reason why we need it, because as I have mentioned, it's not a big deal to remove and replace the top O-ring, which is in the brass packing, inside the groove of the brass packing. Little bit bigger challenge is to replace the one that is at the bottom, right above the thin plastic, black plastic washer. And because what you don't need is that this O-ring will fall down into the hole. And that's why you need something like this. And the way how to put it down into the hole is like this. And then unscrew it, and now there is this part, so the O-ring won't fall down at the bottom of the hole. So first I'll take out the O-ring from the brass packing and replace it. You can use either thin flat screwdriver like this one or like this one, or try to use a nylon pick like this or this, whatever suits you better. I'll try to use a thin flat screwdriver to take it out. There is a quite good chance that you damage this O-ring, but if it's leaking, so it doesn't really matter. So, or you can help yourself with 2 screwdrivers. As you can see, it goes nicely and it's already out. I put it aside and replace it with the brand new. I'll put a little bit of silicone grease, liquid moly, on the top of it. And even into the groove. And now I will just fit it there. I'll try to fit it there. As you can see, this one was really easy to fit in. And now I'll try to take out the bottom one, which is right underneath the thick, roughly 3 mm thick black washer, and about another plastic washer a little bit thinner. This is a little bit bigger challenge, but it's not impossible. For sure, if we are able to take out the brass packing, it would be even better, as they do in the services with the help of the extractor. But we don't have this tool, so we have to find a way how to take it out some other way. And now when I got it out on one side, I'll just hop, and it's back again, so I have to do it again. And here you go. We have it out, and we can replace it with another brand new O-ring. Grease it a little bit, and remember, it has to go between the 2 plastic washers. Whenever you look, you can even use a torch to have a better view and try to fit it there. Well, it went quite smoothly this time, and as you can see, I have already replaced both of them nicely. So what I have to do now is just to take out the tool that I used to avoid O-ring falling down to the hole. Take it out, and as you can see, it's done, and we didn't have to even take out this brass packing. So I'll just use a little bit of grease and grease it like this inside, so it will be even easier for the piston to move, and there will be a smaller friction. And whenever we have all of them done, as I have mentioned, these two I have already replaced the O-rings inside. All what we have to do is just to install the water pump and connect it to the high pressure washer Electra Beckum HD100 HW or Elektromaschinen from company REM Power HDEM 100 HW. Similar principle how to replace the water seals is in the power washers like Electrolux. Very similar look, only different color of the styling cover. I think it's the yellow one. Or Taskmaster, which was sold in UK. Or Eagle Porto Technica, Eagle Mitho, and similar power washers. So I help you. I hope this video helped you a little bit to see that it is possible to replace the O-rings, water seals inside on your own and save this way a lot of money. Thank you very much for watching. Have a nice day and good luck.